So it finally happened. I gatekeep girl boss gaslit my way too close to the sun, and I didn't finish my project, which is why this is going to be a multi-part series. As you all know, I have been hinting at this bigger project for the last couple of weeks. I'm talking about how I'm procrastinating, and I really wanted this week to be the one where I got it finished, but unfortunately life said no. So it is what it is. But enough feeling sorry for myself. I finally decided to do the right thing and cosplay a halfling. No more 7-foot tall satyrs, none of this long torsoed human business. Also, seriously, what is up with that? Because all the characters I want to cosplay have so much room between their hips and their underbust. I don't know, maybe this is like a me and my body very niche problem. Maybe it's a short person problem. I don't know. But we're doing campaign 1's beloved Pike Trickfoot. This is a cosplay that I wanted to put together for a Renfair that was happening like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but for many reasons I ended up not going to it. Unfortunately, plans do be like that. But Renfair season is still upon us and I want to be ready for the next one, so I started working. Beginning with this little diagram and also buying a big old pile of cool stuff. Foam for the armor, gold and silver plate, little red gems, a wig, fabric. Obviously, this drawing is not true to the canon art of Pike. It's more of a mashup of styles from the animated series, fan art, campaign art. This is probably one of the most serious cosplay flaws of mine. I want to look more like fan art and sometimes more than the actual canon art, but hopefully the message still gets across. In this part 1 video, we are working on the puffy sleeve tunic dress part of the drawing. I originally made the color palette in the drawing to suit a pair of curtains that I had thrifted, but the curtains were actually blackout curtains, which if you know blackout curtains, you know that's a super cool thrift store find, but not as cool of a fabric material. And by not as cool, I mean literally not as cool, and wearing it in the middle of August heat is going to be unbearable. So instead, I went to my handy dandy local craft store and spent several hours picking through fabric to find one that was a good shade of blue, a comfortable, breathable material, and also ideally on sale, which somehow this always ends up being some sort of satin or bridal fabric, which is weird because I feel like those are always super expensive, but I digress. It's not quite the light blue that I was hoping for, but I literally scoured the fabric racks for a good color match. I also almost went for yellow instead of blue because yellow in general I think is an underrated color, but also, and small spoiler for Critical Role, so plug your ears, when Pike first makes a cameo in campaign 3, she is wearing yellow, and I thought it would be a nice nod to maybe a more modern day Pike. Anyways, spoilers over, welcome back. I do settle for this royal blue fabric, which unfortunately was cut straight down the middle of the yardage that I got, which is maybe why it was on sale in the first place. But with some finagling, I managed to get all the pattern pieces appropriately in place and cut out. I'm using the Mrs.'s Dress pattern by Gwen Heng, number ME 2021 from Simplicity Patterns. If anyone wants to get the pattern for themselves, it's really nice. I really like the way the bodice connects to the skirt, and also I didn't already have a pattern in my inventory that had these nice big poofy sleeves that I wanted, and I did not feel like doing the math for the bodice and the sleeves and stuff, so you know, patterns. And in my defense, I did so many calculuses in the college, and also I play D&D. That's a lot of math for one person, so I think I'm allowed to not do math this time, as a treat. You'll notice over the course of the video I'm changing outfits and hairstyles and lighting so much more than usual in my making videos. I always try to bulk my projects into large time slots that I have, but I got scheduled for some weird shifts throughout the last few weeks. There was Father's Day, so there's tons of little bits of weird footage taken in couple hour chunks before and after shifts and other plans. But I was told not to apologize and not to feel guilty for being human and for having channel limitations and sometimes only being able to do short videos. And I was told it's not boring even when I have unusual content topics for my video. So here we are making unusual content for some unusual folks, and I love each and every one of you. I did also go back and cut out some lining pieces for the bodice. I wasn't originally going to do a lining layer because I already knew that I was going to do a bad job of sewing and ironing the neckline nice and and flat, and the white lining layer would definitely be visible, which is true, it is visible. And I also didn't want to add more layers to a costume that was going to be worn outside, and the fabric I chose was comfy already, so I didn't think I needed a lining layer. But here I am making a lining layer and sewing it in because I realized just how much hemming in the neckline would be. That's a lot of work, so I said, what if haha we didn't do that? But as far as the pattern itself goes, it's pretty straightforward. I do wish that I had overlocked or serged the edges of the fabric before getting into sewing. The lining especially is a material that really likes to fray badly, and it does get caught in the zipper when I open and close the dress, which is a struggle and is kind of unfortunate. But this one specifically is for cosplay purposes, and I'm going to paint little gold details on it, so I'm not too worried about it. Oh, and also just a quick note, the fabric that I purchased ended up being less than I originally planned, or not less, but more like it didn't come in big chunks. It came in 2 half chunks of what I needed, and at the time I was not familiar enough with the pattern to make any significant adjustments, so the tunic thing that I don't know enough medieval terminology for ends up being shorter than I originally thought it should be, but that's okay because I am also shorter than I originally thought I would be, so I think it cancels out. It is at this point that I begin chopping away at the dress that I worked so hard to sew together to get that sort of pointed flap at the front going. Obviously, because of the shortened skirt, it results in a significantly smaller amount of space in the front to paint that gold sunburst motif, but we'll deal with that problem later.
I did it! I hate sleeves, but I love how you look. I love sleeves, but I hate sewing them. They suck.
I finally try on the dress and nobody laugh at me for how my zipper is put in. First of all, I spent hours in the hobby store looking for a zipper foot only to find out that they didn't have any stock. I did order one, but it came in the mail literally just as I finished my dress. And also, I don't care too much because the back is going to be very much covered anyways. When I finished the dress, it was too big in the shoulders for me, yet again, probably having to do with my short torso. My torso is a little scorned. I have to go to work now, so we'll be back after I come back from work. But look, it's so shiny. That means it's time to paint the designs on the fabric. I had bought a really cool bronze coppery fabric marker that I was super excited to use, but in a simultaneously fortunate and unfortunate series of events, I found out I was definitely not going to be able to use it. I did some test swatches before I went to work on a scrap piece of fabric and found out that the color carrying medium for the fabric marker wicked out into my fabric and dried in sort of a darker puddle around the actual colored section, which is kind of sad because I really like the color of the marker, but it is lucky that I did a test swatch first because I was very close to not doing that at all and just going straight in. And I was also very lucky that I had bought this gold sort of fabric paint just in case the marker didn't work. So we put down the first layer of paint, starting with the original sunburst design, kind of, but sort of squirted down. The paintbrush didn't really do a great job of transferring the medium super well, which is kind of sad. And also I'm not sure if it's because I was stressed about how the copper marker didn't work or if it was because it was past midnight and I just got home from a not super fun shift at work, but I was not feeling the design and also not painting to what I feel like was my best ability. Nonetheless, I pushed through putting down this sort of basic design first coat. What I think I'll try to do for the next video, or in the meantime between now and the next video, is put maybe gold on the cuffs on the sleeves. And I wonder, since maybe the gold fabric paint might create a barrier between the fabric and the rest of the paint, if I can maybe use that coppery fabric marker on top of it, then I'll get that desirable color and pigment that I want without it bleeding to the rest of the fabric. Maybe tune in next time to see, I guess. Unfortunately, next time is going to be a little bit of a ways away because I have a different project that is on a much more strict deadline that needs to get done. And also Art Fight is next month, and I do want to prioritize that, getting as many fights in as I can, drawing as many of your OCs as I can. So yeah, the next video in this Pike series may take a while to get out, but I do hope you stick around in the meantime to enjoy the art fight and the other stuff I have planned, because that would really mean a lot to me. But anyways, here is the dress with the first layer of the design painted on. I decided to take inspiration and make the shapes in the shape of her little Everlight necklace spell focus. I was hesitant to bring the design any farther up the dress because of my plans for the breastplate and how I think it'll probably cover up a lot of the design, and I was worried about adding more gold to the sleeves because I thought that might make the dress a little too top heavy in terms of visuals, but maybe if I just left the gold on the cuffs it would be okay. I don't know, let me know what you think. Whatever happens, I think it's very likely that this design will probably change and get more detailed over the course of this next month. One last thing to squeeze into this video is a very bad wig styling video. I do not have the correct supplies at all to do this, as you can see by my wig stand made of duct tape and boxes of craft supplies, but I did want to try my hand at it. I also did not stick to the original design of one bun in the back of the head and did two instead. I feel like I've seen a lot of Pike Trickfoot cosplays and fan arts where she has two little space buns in the back of her head, and I really like putting my hair into space buns, so I feel like it would probably look alright once I put the wig onto my head. I also made two little braids to crisscross over the top of the head because I just think it's neat. 100% I could have probably just done this on myself on the day of the Ren Fair, but I figured at least having the hair be stored in this way would make it easier to do touch-ups if I needed to once I put it on. In a weird way, this is one of the easier cosplays that I have ever worn. My first cosplay was Jester Lavore. Well, actually, my first cosplay was Rogue from X-Men, followed by Uraraka from My Hero Academia. Those were technically a little easier, but my first Ren Fair specific cosplay was Jester Lavore, and I love wearing Jester Lavore, but the paint, it takes a long time. And then, of course, as you all know, my next Ren Fair cosplay was Fern Calloway, which you all got to see, and she has these massive horns that were straight up going to take my head off if I walked through a doorway or walked past something wrong. So, fingers crossed that this cosplay is actually going to be as comfortable as I feel like it's going to be. Relatively comfortable. But anyways, here's what I have done so far. Unfortunately, no reveal in this video. We've got a lot of adventuring and fumbling to go yet, so stick around to see the chaos that ensues as a result of that, including some bonus footage of my husband wrapping me in saran wrap, and also me being a helicopter. This video will be much more relevant when I'm doing my video on making the armor pieces, but anyways, that's that. We'll see if this video becomes a part 1, part 2, possibly 3, maybe even 4, but who knows? Not me.